That was about tantrums, how to handle tantrums, the hardest thing to manage. Especially now, I see all this about, like, I always think about things that I said before kids, just having a better relationship with nursing and breastfeeding, shepherding a child who's gonna grow up to be hopefully a confident, well-rounded. Something I'm very cognizant of is the fact that not everyone who watches these videos is a mom or just a parent. And since having my son myself, I do try to just not make everything centered around that, as I know that's not relatable to everyone. Every now and then it's fun to just indulge about talking about mom things, sharing updates. I want to have a catch up during nap time to just talk about mom stuff. But before then, it's Friday, and I've talked about this, but I'm trying to start fun Fridays where we go do something just a bit out of the norm, something out of the routine. Last week we watched the sunrise and ate donuts, and this morning, I will say this is more of a fun Friday for me. We're gonna go to a new coffee shop, grab a drink, grab a treat, but then also after that, we're gonna go browse around garage sales because we have a neighborhood garage sale. Just have a bit of a cozy fun Friday, hang out, and I'm also making spaghetti for that reason because that's just ultimate cozy meal. We did not actually make it to any of the garage sales, but that is okay because he was just having a good time being cozy at home. I really do live by the philosophy of don't try to make a happy baby happier. Connor's about to go down for a nap now, and I'm about to change out the sheets on his crib. And I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Newton for sponsoring this video. This is the crib mattress that we have used since Connor was itty bitty. He has been sleeping in his crib. He's always been such a fan of his crib. I believe a huge part of that is because this mattress is so comfy, but it's also so safe for him. If you haven't heard of Newton, they sell their breathable mattress. It's fully breathable. I will never forget when he started rolling in his sleep, how nervous I was with his face just pressed up against the mattress. But this one's great because it's made with a woven air technology. When you unzip it, you can see how fully breathable it is. And I always like to share my code. It's Michelle. That gets you $40 off your Newton crib mattress plus free shipping. I will have that link down below. They also have a 100-night guarantee. If you're not satisfied by those 100 nights, you can send it back to Newton Baby. No questions asked, free returns. It's also made with no foam, latex, or adhesives, which again, it's just crazy that you even have to think about that when getting a mattress for your child. And it's also fully washable, so you can unzip the cover, throw that in the wash, but the actual core of it too, you can literally clean it in the tub or the shower. We are pretty minimal when it comes to baby, toddler stuff, but this is one of the things that has stuck with us. We also used their bedside bassinet when he was younger, and I believe it's actually the biggest bedside bassinet, so you can use it for the longest amount of time. Sometimes it can be hard, or you just don't want to put your child in their own room yet. It's great that they can sleep in there for a long time. And again, you can use my code Michelle to get $40 off and free shipping. I will have it linked at the top of the description box. Just poured myself an Olipop. I was gonna do tea because the vibe is just so tea right now. It's gloomy, but this just sounded more refreshing. So I encourage you to also grab a fun drink because we are gonna chat a little bit. I asked for questions over on Instagram, and I'm just gonna go in no particular order, just go down the list. I'll start with one that was most commonly asked, and that was about tantrums, how to handle tantrums, especially now having kind of peak toddler at this age, almost 2, so I guess not really peak toddler yet. How do you deal with tantrums? It always seems like everything's so peaceful and calm, and I just want to say that it is not always peaceful and calm. I'm just not recording in the moments that don't feel that way. Yeah, that is something that has just kind of come with the territory at this age. Just know that they very much do happen in our house. They happen out and about with us, and I'm still learning how to navigate those feelings and those emotions, but a couple of things that I've been thinking about as it relates to these moments. As he gets older, I really am starting to learn what triggers these tantrums more often, and the most common thread that I have found is being in environments that are overstimulating, whether that be just a lot of kids, it's really busy, it's chaotic. And I just think about myself. If I was a small human, would I be overstimulated in this environment? And if I'm already feeling that way as an adult, like for example, we went to a rodeo a couple months ago, and we were there for 10 minutes because it was chaotic and there were a lot of those feelings, a lot of those emotions. And I think there's a balance between accepting that kids, you know, belong in the world too, belong in this environment, but also I never want to ruin someone else's experience. If my child is having a hard time, especially if they're not enjoying themselves anyways, then we're getting out of that place. Right now, I find the most effective tactic is just to remove ourselves from the situation, or if it's a toy that we're playing with. As this goes on, something that I try to focus on is giving my child attention when they're acting in a more favorable way. If we're out and about, even if we're at home and he's just behaving really well, he's having manners, he's playing really well independently, still giving him attention in that moment. I never want to only be paying attention when there's bad behavior at play. I don't even want to say bad behavior, but just maybe more unfavorable behaviors. And then also sticking to boundaries. I would say I'm pretty lax with most things, especially as time goes on, but I don't want to be wishy-washy. Like if I say we're not going to touch something, if I say we're not going to go somewhere, if I say we're not going to scream in public, like we're going to leave, not going to play with that toy. And of course, there's so many things that I can talk about that I said before I had kids that was important to me that now I'm like, this is one of the things that's really important to me. I know that as a child, I found a lot of just safety and comfort in knowing that my parents, when they said yes, that meant yes. When they said no, that meant no. And just knowing that we're not going to do things at a time when I know he's going to be tired, I know he's going to be hungry. Finding time for yourself without feeling guilty. Mom guilt is so real over here. I totally get this. And maybe it's because I am primarily at home with my son most of the time, but I find, especially as time goes on, I don't really feel a sense of mom guilt about taking time to do things, whether that be something as simple as running errands by myself, spending time with my friends. If someone is offering to watch my child, I'm going to say yes, whether that be my husband or grandparents. I think that that's healthy. I think that I'm a much better mom when I'm getting a workout in, when I am spending time socializing with other people that aren't children. Like that is very beneficial for me and my child. And I also know that he's gonna get fresh energy from someone else and he's genuinely gonna love spending time with them. I know that they can give him things that I can't, especially if I'm really tired and burnt out. This kind of relates to this, but I really look up to my mom in this regard because she had 5 kids. I'm the youngest of 5 kids and she stayed home with us too. She did some substitute teaching as we got older, but I never felt like my mom resented raising us, and I never felt like she was confined to our home, like she was limited. And I think a big reason for this, just from the outside, she may have a completely different perspective, and I am not sure what it was like when we were young. She was always doing things that she enjoyed. She still worked out, was always changing up things in our home. She was seeing friends. She was always volunteering with other people, and it never felt like we made her life pause. I'm sure that there's some things that were paused or completely given up. My mom's a big runner and we would go to the gym with her while she would do her runs. We would just run on the track. I think it's interesting because I see this philosophy everywhere of, you know, don't shift your life for your kids. Make your kids shift for your life. There's a better way that they say that, but basically bringing your kids into your world. And I think that this is a bit of a simple way to put it. I think it's crazy to say that kids don't change your life at all because that's not been the case for me personally. Maybe that is for other people. Yeah, she just always seemed to find joy in raising us. And I think a big part of that was she wasn't putting all these things aside that she still enjoyed. And I think it was very healthy to see that, especially wanting to be a mom one day, having that example was really, really healthy. And even now, as we're all out of the house, my mom is still living her life. She still has all these things that she enjoys. I have so many sleep questions on here, and I will say this is one of the things that if we're able to have another child, I will focus so much less on sleep because I completely understand why when you have a baby, even a toddler, it consumes you because there is nothing like being super sleep deprived. I am not someone who needs a ton of sleep, but after having a baby and truthfully not sleeping through the night fully until he was a year old, one, it's crazy how much you realize that you miss sleep, but also how you can still function without it. It's crazy how God has made us that way. I will say now we are sleeping really well, and I always kind of get nervous to put that out out into the air because it can change whenever. I think that everyone has different opinions on this. I can just say from experience, you can try all the things, but in the end, your baby is just gonna do what they're gonna do. I do think that there are things that can be helpful, whether that be having a schedule. I have no tips. I think that every child is just so different. He has always loved sleeping in his crib. He never liked co-sleeping. Even when he would wake up at night, we'd try to bring him in the bed and he would not sleep. I think part of that is because I wasn't nursing very long, but I can say you will sleep in time. I can't tell you when, I can't tell you how, but it will come back. I'm interested to know how you fit work in around looking after Connor, like editing, etc. I've touched on this, but this has probably been the hardest thing to manage because so much of my work is talking to a camera, sitting down on my laptop, editing, and there are a lot of things that I can do while he's awake, but there are some things that are just, they're a little bit trickier. Mostly working while he naps. I'm working when he goes to bed at night. Pretty much anytime he's asleep, I'm trying to get something done. And I don't think that that is sustainable in the long term. Aiden works from home too, so sometimes we have flexibility there, but he is working during the day. It's always that balance of, I love being able to do this because I can stay at home, but actually managing that is tricky. I definitely don't post as often as I used to, and that's a big reason why. I got some questions about toys that he's liking. We don't have that many toys. He really likes cars right now. He really likes books. He has a balance bike that he's really just now getting into. We have a little play kitchen that he likes. He kind of just puts all this stuff in there though. We have a KiwiCo subscription and I love that because that's kind of my excuse to get toys every couple of months but not constantly be buying them. And if we are buying things, I would rather it be another book, another car, instead of another thing that has a ton of pieces, because that's my weak spot. I just can't do the tiny pieces everywhere, especially because we have a dog that gets into them. But yeah, otherwise we try to spend a lot of time outside. He just plays with random things outside that aren't toys. I like this one, I mentioned it earlier, but what are some views you've had that changed before you became a parent / after? This is so funny because I always think about things that I said before kids, and one in particular, I read this book called Raising Bebe, and I'm sure a lot of people have also read this, and it basically talks about the differences between parenting in American culture versus French culture. And a lot of this book I thought was very informative, very helpful. It has some good tips, but at the end of the day, I just wish I hadn't read any parenting books before kids, because you can't learn from a book alone. I remember one of the things it talked about was how like kids in France, they will eat anything you put in front of them. They're not picky eaters. They don't need like a special meal like chicken nuggets or whatever. And that was something that was always very important to me before I had a child. Raise my child to be an adventurous eater, just feed them what we eat. I will say that this is what we do. I really do just feed him whatever I'm eating. That doesn't mean that they're always gonna eat it. And the result of that has been mostly that Cash has become an adventurous eater because he just throws everything to Cash. Not everything. Let me know if you have something like this that you said before kids that now you kind of laugh about, because I just think it's funny. Are you worried about how to balance life with a future child in the mix? I kind of touched on this in a recent Q&A, but yes, I wouldn't say worried, but it is something that I'm mindful about. We're just in such a good rhythm right now as a family that it just feels pretty comfortable. It feels really good. I'm glad I talked about this because I had a lot of people message me saying that they were expecting it to be ultimate chaos and it wasn't. And it was just nice to hear a different perspective, but that is something that I think about. I know I mentioned books, but this one says, are there any Christian mom books that you recommend? The first one is Simplicity Parenting. I know I said that you couldn't learn anything, but that one I had some pretty good takeaways from. But then also Habits of the Household. That was another one that I read more recently. For me, it was more helpful to read about just life as a family versus specific baby tips of like sleep and eating and starting solids and all that, especially as he's gotten older and just, you know, you're really shepherding a child who's going to grow up to be hopefully a confident, well-rounded, joy to be around adult who obviously has their weaknesses too. But another one that I got a lot of is, how do you know you're ready to have kids? How did you know you were ready to be a mom? I wouldn't say that there was an aha moment where we felt ready. I do think financially we felt like we were in a good place, we felt stable, but even those things, I don't know, I've just seen it work out for other people too, not having all the perfect conditions and the elements. And of course, as a Christian, I do believe in God's timing and everything, and that was a big reason why we just kind of weren't necessarily actively trying, we were just not trying. And of course, in hindsight now, it just feels like the perfect timing. I was 25 when I had Connor, and we haven't had the mindset of we want to be done by this age or anything. And I don't really think there's a set way to prepare. And I know you hear you're never going to be ready. And I don't think that's a reason to just like willy-nilly go into it. But just to encourage you, if you have certain anxieties around having children, if you are feeling apprehensive, that's very natural. And I don't think that's something that's just gonna go away if you're waiting for that moment. But I've also talked about how with getting married, I'm so thankful that we had time to really just freely travel, to get to spend time with other people and not be, I don't know, I don't like to say tied down because I don't feel tied down. I think especially just having one child right now, we actually have quite a bit of freedom within our schedule, him not being in school. But of course, it's just easier to be a bit more spontaneous. I would say that now we are pretty routine oriented. He has a good schedule and I do find when his days are a bit more predictable, he has a routine. It's just better for everyone. When you look back, would you do everything the same with Connor? Any tips? I think that this is hard because hindsight is always 2020. Given the place that we're at right now, I don't think that there was anything I would change besides if I didn't have horrible postpartum anxiety the first 3 months of his life. I'm not sure if that's something that I could just change. I do know next time I definitely won't be spending as much time on my phone. I won't be Googling things. At some point you have to be a first-time parent. At some point you have to be stressed about sleep. You have to be stressed about giving your baby solids for the first time. Be worried about them going to their first day of school. Like all these things, I think they're a rite of passage and we just put so much pressure on ourselves to, especially now I see all this about like being super relaxed and type B. You just have to have grace with yourself. Like if you were looking at your friend who was going through this for the first time, you would not put all this pressure on them. And I try to be mindful about that. I am very hopeful and I pray about just having a better relationship with nursing and breastfeeding. But despite that too, I look at my child now and he is just thriving. We just say all the time, like he's been such a joy to be around. Of course there are hard moments, but it's just so much fun right now. And to see him really, really thriving, it's nice to know that even despite that, he's turned out pretty great. He's turned out pretty great. And I can say too, if that's something that you're struggling with and you're struggling with not being sure if you'll have a great bond because you don't have that, I can just say from experience, we are like this. We are like this despite not having that. Those are all the questions I'm going to answer. I'm sure more will pop up throughout this video. I'm going to have some downtime before he wakes up. Saturday. We're having a bit of a just crafty Saturday because for one, I want to work on a few things for Connor's birthday party, a few little craft things I'll share here in a second, but also my family's coming over tonight and we are carving pumpkins. Ever since buying our house, we've just had so much fun having people over and hanging out. I want to tidy up the house a little bit and do a couple of other things for that. Starting off with the birthday crafts, we are doing Connor's birthday party a little bit after his actual birthday and that's going to be Curious George themed. I'm not starting anything for that yet. We still have a month, but I wanted to do a couple of things for his actual birthday before then. I found this idea from Pinterest, but essentially you just cut out the number of whatever age your baby's turning, your toddler child's turning, and then covering it with photos of them. I just think that this would be really sweet to bring out for both his birthday, but also probably his birthday party too. And I have this giant box left over from Amazon. I just unboxed and laid flat, and I think it's going to be perfect. Hopefully I can draw it pretty decent too. I am not very great at drawing. It should be easy enough. I printed out a bunch of photos from Artifact Uprising. I really like this brand. I did this photo wall for his first birthday that honestly I might do again for his birthday party. I don't know. So it'll be nice to have these. I think I have plenty for the two, but also if I want to do that. But they're really nice because they look kind of vintagey. They have a bunch of different sizes. And then I also have some paper because I want to make a garland, a paper garland just to hang somewhere for his actual birthday. And hopefully we can reuse this if it stays nice for everyone's birthdays, which is why I just got a good mix of colors. I love making these for Christmas too. So last year I actually bought a paper cutter and it definitely makes it easier just to make sure all the strips are about the same size. I've been storing everything in this bog bag that I ordered for his birthday so it doesn't get lost. But I also got this happy birthday banner from Etsy that, again, hopefully we can just reuse for everyone's birthdays. Can you tell I really like birthdays? I also got him a birthday hat as well that you could totally DIY, but with all the other projects we're working on, some things, it's nice to have. I'm gonna start off with the number and then move on to the paper chain. I'm obviously still working on the paper chain. It's pretty short right now. That's easy, but I finished the 2. My 2 is really wonky though. I didn't notice until I had all the pictures on it. As you can tell, the arch is just quite large. So I'm contemplating removing the photos and kind of cutting it to make it less prominent at the top compared to the bottom, but for now I really like it, and I think when we hang it up it's gonna look so sweet with all the other decorations. Super cute. Tonight we're gonna order dinner, so I don't really have to make anything, but I do want to try to make this fruit platter that looks like a pumpkin. Another thing that I saw on Pinterest that looks pretty easy, especially with all the kids. I just like having some sort of fruit or vegetable to have with whatever we order, and it looks really cute and festive.
Can we talk now? Maybe this will be a better time after a fall. I feel what I'm saying will end right, making contact.
It's so funny, Lindsay's
Crossing over stationary lines. Sharpie biggest.
Good morning. Last night was so much fun, and I was so surprised that we all ended up carving pumpkins. It's one of those things that it's definitely an ordeal carving pumpkins, but it was so fun seeing what everyone carved, and of course having everyone in our home. I'm always so thankful for fun nights with family. But getting ready for church this morning, and I wanted to share because the last update I had about going to church and having a toddler, we were trying to get used to Connor being in the nursery, and it was definitely a little bit bumpy. And of course, you know, some days can still be like that, but we've had such a smooth time getting to church these days, which I'm also very thankful for. Last time we went, that was the first time where he was really excited to go into the classroom with all the kids. He's definitely getting to an age where he's just more social, being around other kids. Just a little encouragement, because I know sometimes, especially imagine if you have multiple kids, it can feel very fleeting and kind of, what is the point of this? What just feels chaotic. Maybe you're roaming the hallways on Sundays. It's one of those things that I'm really thankful we're kind of getting in a groove for. I'm about to curl my hair. I've been really enjoying using my wand curling iron. I used to use primarily my hair straightener, but this gives just more true curls with a lot of volume, and it's more time consuming, but I like the look of it a lot more. This is my natural hair. It's very straight and it does not hold a curl very well, so I find when I just make it really, really curly, by midday it tends to look more natural. Here is the church outfit of the day. This top I've had for a while. It's actually from Amazon. It's super, super comfy. And then my pants are actually from my newly rental, but they are originally Anthropologie, and they are so comfortable. They're corduroys, and my boots are from SAHM, as well as these earrings. Just had a great morning at church. It's a little bit later now. I'm actually about to head to a coffee shop and get a little bit of work done this afternoon. I'm just gonna be here for probably an hour or so. I definitely have a lot of deadlines this week. I would just say in general, this time of year is my busiest time for work stuff, so I'm trying to get as much done as possible so I don't have to work super late tonight. That's just the reality of being a mom and trying to do both and work when I can, then pick up some steaks. We're gonna grill some steaks tonight, and then hopefully something for dinner tomorrow night, just to kill two birds with one stone. But I don't like that saying. I need to figure out a different saying other than that. just put Connor down for the night, which means it's now time to give my other child some attention. This is what we call cash o'clock at night once Connor's asleep, because it's all about him. I know this video is a bit more casual than normal, but I hope you guys still enjoyed it, talking about all the mom things. And again, if you're in need of a mattress for your baby, your toddler, I will have Newton down below. I do have that discount code that gets you $40 off and free shipping. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye, friends. Cash says bye too.
I say bye, Cash.